not, just listening to basic science on COVID, not putting babies in cages. Just there's the list is just it's long. I mean, it is. I think we're not going to necessarily get as much change as I would like, especially if we. But if we take back the Senate with the Georgia runoffs, that will be a big deal.
But this does divide. This is a very divided country, as you've just mentioned. Are you worried about the status of how fellow citizens feel? We know maybe even as much as half of the country are still very much behind Donald Trump.
It is a concern. White supremacists and radicalism and terrorism, white supremacist terrorism are big problems. And it's going to be a challenge to figure out how to combat extremism and misinformation and disinformation. But I think it's going to be a big deal for the White House not to be occupied by a would-be dictator and a fascist who is racist and who wants to just oppress a lot of people and do pretty much anything for his own power.
Well, now he says, though, that he is not accepting defeat, and he has said before that he may not accept a peaceful transfer of power. Are you honestly concerned that he may not leave come January 20th?
So I'm not concerned, as the Biden team said, the U.S. is perfectly capable of escorting trespassers off the White House grounds. He's got some legal challenges, but there's absolutely no merit to them. They are just, they're pretty much being laughed out of possibility, even by a lot of Republican strategists. And the courts just aren't. I'm not worried about him trying to steal it legally. And if he refuses to leave, we have Secret Service, we have law enforcement officials who will remove him. It'll be embarrassing for him, but I'm not concerned about that.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And so, as you see, we are surrounded by thousands of people who are growing in number by the second, who are celebrating, who are feeling, in a sense, that the lid has finally come off of the pot, that they can celebrate this moment that so many have been waiting for. Many of these people oppose President Trump and what he has done within his presidency and the legacy that he may leave. Of course, that will be a continuing concern, particularly what fingerprint he has left on this White House, on the Republican Party, on this country. That still remains to be seen.
Well, this is truly a historic election because Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will be the first woman, first South Asian, and first Black person to hold that office. She heard the news while she was out jogging and was one of the first to congratulate her running mate.
We did it. We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
And understandably very happy Kamala Harris there. Well, Alan Fisher takes a look at the impact that she might have on U.S. politics.
Good morning.
Her election is historic. When she's sworn in on January 20th next year, Kamala Harris will be the first African-American, first Asian-American, first woman to hold America's second highest office.
This is important because we have these ideas about what it takes to be an executive, particularly in the White House, because that role is seen as sort of a masculine type role, right? Where there's, there are issues of economics and of international relations and war, and these sorts of things tend to be pegged toward ideas of what male decision-making tends to look like.
It was just 4 years since she was elected to the U.S. Senate, and with Joe Biden now being in his 70s, in 4 more years, she could be ideally placed to win the Democratic presidential nomination for the White House. Born in California to a Jamaican father and an Indian mother, Kamala Harris has become used to busting barriers. She was the first female district attorney in San Francisco. She was the first woman of color to become California's attorney general. Experience, which may lead to her heading the new administration's efforts in police reform and racial equality. It was a role as Attorney General in California that brought criticism from both the left and the right, that she didn't do enough to investigate police shootings, that there were wrongful arrests while she was in the role, But none of this criticism seemed to stick, nor was her background regarded as disqualifying by many voters.
We have something in the United States, a stereotype of the perpetual foreigner. And that's usually put upon people who are Asian American. And you see the other side leaned into that when they were talking about, or mispronouncing her name and saying, Kamala Mala Mala or whatever they were trying to say, in order to make her seem foreign, make her seem not American. And the fact that the American people rejected that is, I think, really significant.
It's just 12 years since Barack Obama won his historic election and became president.
We're going to get this done, aren't we?
Kamala Harris is expected to be a high-profile vice president, vocal and visible. But more importantly, she's expected to have an important voice behind the scenes, in the room where decisions are made. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, let's go to Rob Reynolds, who is in Los Angeles for us. And of course, California is Kamala Harris's home state. So what kind of reaction has there been there to her election?
He's one of the people who made the White House in US.
Well, here in Los Angeles, there are a lot of people in very typical LA style, sitting in their cars, honking their horns. You probably can't hear it, but it's loud in the streets behind me in West Hollywood, where there's a very large LGBTQ community that is extremely happy about the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, of course, a native daughter of California, and this, when she takes office, that will leave a vacancy in the Senate, so the Democratic governor of California, Gavin Newsom, will be able to appoint a new senator to fill out the remainder of Kamala Harris's term. That's an interesting local story, and he could come up with some historic first, for example, the first Latino senator to represent California. But I also wanted to talk, Barbara, a little bit amidst all of the euphoria that the Biden supporters are feeling right now. It's always a cliche to say, now comes the hard part, but boy, is the hard part ever coming for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They are facing a spreading and intensifying coronavirus pandemic, which has really almost exceeded the ability of, contact tracing and some other standard forms of pandemic containment. At this stage in this country, they have a economic recession, severe economic recession that it appears to be getting somewhat worse with the hiring slowing down. And they face really a situation where Joe Biden has been elected, but he has no coattails. The Democratic Party lost seats in the House. They control the Senate. State House is the same situation, Republican domination. So Republicans will not feel under any pressure of some sort of vast national mandate to begin cooperating with a President Biden over the things that he wants to do. Sure, he can do things by executive order, rejoining the Paris Climate Accords, eliminating the so-called Muslim ban that President Trump put in place, and reversing many of the Trump executive orders on the environment that environmentalists consider to be harmful. But to get some real work done, stimulus plans, for example, to revive the economy as one very important item, he's going to have to be able to work with Congress. Now, we know he has a good relationship with Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader, but is that going to be enough? And finally, in addition, Joe Biden, being a moderate Democrat, will face a certain amount of pressure from the left wing of his own party to deliver on some of his promises, to make real changes in the systematic racism and racism in policing and things of that nature. So he's got a very full plate and a lot of problems that he's going to have to deal with on January 21st.
Absolutely a real challenge. Rob Reynolds with the latest there from Los Angeles in California. Rob, thank you. Well, to discuss some of those issues in more detail, let's speak to Alan Lichtman, who's a professor of history at American University and the author of the keys to the White House, a system that has correctly predicted the outcomes of
Yeah,
every
of course,
presidential
upon
race since
school.
1984. He joins us via Skype from Washington, D.C.
When is your
Sir, thank you
graduation
so much for
program?
joining us. I know that you had predicted a Biden victory. Just talk us through briefly what you think it is that won it for Biden.
I predicted a Biden victory way back at the beginning of August by not looking at
That's
the
the
woefully
science.
inaccurate polls. And by the way, a
One
bit
year.
of unsolicited advice
Oh,
to you
she's
journalists,
missed me.
never again publish or talk about a horse race poll.
Yeah.
They lead us down the path to error. So don't look at the polls, don't look at the
Wait,
pundits, don't follow
I'm
the
so
day-to-day
wrong.
events of the campaign. Rather, I use my 13 keys to the White House system, which also predicted Trump's victory last time. And the keys gauge the strength and performance of the party holding the White House. And if 6 or more go against the White House party, they are predicted losers. Trump was looking good at the end of 2019 with just 4 keys against him. But then we had his failed response to the pandemic and to the cries for social and racial justice, which cost him 3 more keys, enough to predict his defeat.
Dala, wait. Hello. Nishirapwisha. Hi. Cancel tamba. Why did you want to commit suicide? Yes, this is not always. You won't die in you. Tomorrow on Sunday, who writes exams on Sunday? Tomorrow is Sunday. Oh, 12:36. Okay. You've got exams, you guys. Practical physical line. Practical physical line. Practical choco line. Number theory yali kawa one. Really, you go safe. Joel, epo ali Joel. Naitondonganya hapo nomba midterm yesu ile yamba after next week. Damn. I thought like there's a lot of time. Can't midterm ile yamba after next week. Damn zone. Let's niambe mkujipa nomba pano. Mchefya nyeko kusoma. Niambe. Hey, ntondonganya. Niambe mkuberenga nomba hapa. Hey, I had thought like we have a lot of time. We've got quite a lot of time. No, actually, it will be week 8. I don't know whether it will be week 7, week 8, somewhere there. Yes, I think it will be week 7 or week 8. So this week in Gayaya, then Paraisa wiki in BA, Kamba pa 16, then the other week pa 23. Just 2 weeks from now, you know. Why do you want to escape your responsibilities? Did you come here to commit suicide? I refuse to be. I refuse to be a witness in anything. I refuse to be used as evidence to anything. Mm-mm. I'm not responsible for anything. That's a disclaimer. Nalanda. If you are recording, it's a disclaimer. Whatever will happen to you, whatever you want to do to yourself, I'm not going to be responsible. Awe, awe. Hatujipe Mungu wangu. Hatuwalenge. Why? Ninshule for okuyipaira. For what reason? For what reason? Ninshule for okuyipaira. School. Lekawa konse school. Yalikawa konse. Nomba yo walikosa sana okukira na school yoyini. Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know? Uzamziva Yesu. Uzamziva Yesu mkuu. Uzamziva Yesu. Uzamziva Yesu. What are you doing to your camera? Why do you want to kill yourself? Yes, and we don't want to see you in the headlines. Don't be a statistic. You're right. I'm not thinking about how Trump has lost. I'm actually happy that he's gone. There will be no time to think about him again. It's just today and he will be gone. Don't exam. You are writing on Monday. You are writing on Monday. So this is your midterm week, man. Mukalila nzaenda omuziva Yesu. Oh way. Yeah, but to name help. It helped me to upgrade my subjects here. My courses where I was in Moma F my courses it helped me to go to B's and C's. Then I was in then the other one I had a D. Then I went to F. That one it touched me, like no. from D to F. That one. I don't know. I tried. So I'm going to repeat that course again in the next semester. I was test. That was physics. I got just slightly below 50. So I was shit, physics damn. The physics one when we wrote last semester, I failed it. I got F, So when I wrote the Putwineme, I was pushed. I went to B. I have a B at the moment. Where after writing Putwineme. Then physics 2, I got a D. Then kulemba Putwineme kupone na kuisanga F. That one, okay, I was just like, shit. How the hell can such a thing happen? I don't know what happened, but I was writing. I was like, I'm okay. It's just that kind of thing. Yes, it's not. It was just normal. Like I was just to be putting answers. It was actually multiple choice where you are putting answers by multiple choice. They were asking those same stuff for capacitors, current, electric potential, whatever. We sang at so that you think like you are putting correct things. Can't you